Welcome back to another edition of the Veeries in Numerous podcast. I'm your host, R.L. Breyer. This episode is sponsored and powered by, firstly, Flashcoin. Flashcoin is a reinvention of Litecoin. Actually, you're going to learn a lot about Flashcoin today because they're not only the sponsor of this episode, but also a representative from their community is coming on. So I'm going to let them do a lot of the talking today on Flashcoin. But they're a reinvention of Litecoin with faster settlement than the majority of cryptocurrencies out there. So definitely doing a lot of cool stuff with Flashcoin. We're going to get into that as I noted. Secondly, the sponsor of the podcast today, Cheesecake Swap, cheesecakeswap.com. It's an AMM aggregator. And we'll get into them here as I show you a little bit about how their operation works before we get into this episode. All right, so here we are, Flashcoin or cheesecakeswap.com. On their homepage now. They just updated the homepage. You got the cake over here to harvest. Cake stats, what's going on? Total supply only 1,634,392 currently, with 6,818,349.90 locked up. TVL, total value lock, new cake block 0.75, and I'm currently in the pools that I have locked up until the end of next month, and currently getting 109.05% APR total cake, staked 2,114.20. So pretty nice amount of liquidity also in their main pool now, the C Cake pool, 1,414 $1,414,872 just in the cheesecake farming pool. So pretty nice job they've done here with the website and everything. Current price $1.92. So if you actually go and check out what they're doing in terms of value that the coin has, it's pretty impressive how fast this has jumped up. I would like to put them side by side eventually and look at cake versus cheesecake swap and the C cake coin. But you can see a plus 46.5% over the last 14 days. So all-time high was about $3.18, $3.23 on here, or $3.28 about 10 days ago, according to this chart. I think the price might have hit a little right around there when they first got listed on their first exchange too, possibly. But yeah, check them out, cheesecakeswap.com. Now let's get into this episode with a Flashcoin community member on what Flash is up to and everything about Flash, really, their wallet roadmap and his background in cryptocurrency. So let's get into it. Thanks to our sponsors. Everybody make sure to hit that like, subscribe button, and leave a comment if you enjoyed this episode. And always check out our Patreon at patreon.com/RL Breyer with the weekly group Zooms, or with the monthly group Zooms, weekly newsletter on there. My Sunday newsletter goes out every Sunday, and all of my content is posted there. So, and if you want to get in one of the best Telegram chats with not a lot of Moonboy action, that also is included on the Patreon. So go over there, check it out, patreon.com/RL Breyer. Let's get into it. Welcome back for another edition of the Veeries in Numerous podcast. Today, episode number 36 with a Flashcoin enthusiast / community member. His name is Sam. Welcome to the show today, sir.
Hello. Welcome, Mariel. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I've known James Jr. for probably 3 or 4 years now. It's crazy how fast time goes in Bitcoin and blockchain space. But yeah, he's a really good guy. He supported my work for a long time, sponsoring my podcast and stuff. So I appreciate the Flashcoin team a lot, and they're a sponsor of this episode and right now my podcast. So it's good to have somebody from the community on and to talk about the project you guys are so interested in.
Awesome. Yeah, James and I known each other about the same time. We all both got into Flash about 3.5 or 4 years now. Yeah, it's been for a whirlwind, right? Up and down and through the bear years. Now we're back to the bull run, so it's exciting times. I'm just really enthused about the whole space, all the other projects, and where we're headed with the whole crypto. And I'm just really excited to see what's going to bring us to the future.
Absolutely. I almost always get a little bit of background on my guests. You're sort of pseudonymous or whatever you want to, kind of, you don't have your picture up here, but I could ask you like where you grew up and stuff like that.
Sure. I'm in the Bay Area. Yes, I'm somewhat of a private person, so I prefer just to stay low key, and that's how my life is too. I just enjoy and just relax, and I'm a little shy, so I prefer not the limelight. In the Bay Area, I came from Asia, so then I went up to all the local schools, and I only know the Bay Area, and that's how I learned about crypto. Of course, San Francisco. So went to all the meetups and started learning the space and just got fascinated by the technology and then slowly learning more and deep diving it. I am not very technical as many others are. I'm just fascinated at how the tech works and just trying to learn how to use it and how it will affect our lives in so many ways since the last 4 years. It's been really, really fun, and I'm really excited for the future ahead for all crypto space.
Awesome. Yeah, it's good to learn a little bit about your past. What about like academically? Were you interested in economics or um, you know politics, political science, anything like that? Like what sort of, you said you didn't have like you don't have a huge tech background. You're not super technical. What sort of like what led you into crypto really? You mentioned the meetups, but what was the driving force that made you open your eyes to the importance?
Yeah, for me, I went for business management. It's a very vague degree, and for me, of course, what drives business, right? And for me to the deep dive into the business world, and then luck would have it, I started learning about blockchain and how would that affect financial interactions and transaction, and how the world will work later, right? And how money works. That's what I was really researching into. How does cash work? How does monetary work? And that led me to Bitcoin. It was like, okay, what is this system for, and who created it? And the more I deep dive into it, I was just fascinated, and that's how I got into crypto space, by learning about our financial system, because at that time, right after or 2009, I was very interested. It's like, okay, what happened? How do I learn from this? How does it work? How can I prevent myself being in this situation, even though I'm very young then? But I also want to learn, how did we have such a meltdown, right? And everybody was so affected by the financial 2008, 2009. So I was just fascinated how the financial system works. I wanted to learn more. And that's what led me to researching, and eventually found Bitcoin, and then, of course, into other crypto projects.
Yeah, great answer. Yeah. So how long was it after did you like find Bitcoin and read the white paper pretty soon thereafter, or what was that like?
Well, yeah, not, I wish. I mean, I found out around 2016. I was very into financial to 2010, 11, and I was learning to like the Federal Reserve. How does that work? Fractional banking, the
Right.
gold standard. And then it's just a rabbit hole, right? I'm just reading and reading and learning, researching and understanding how banks work. How does the financial system work? How the stock market works? And the more you dive, you just realize I learned so much, yet I know so little.
Uh,
And so I keep learning, and eventually I knew that this is the space I want to be in. I had no idea what I wanted to do. I just have a normal 9 to 5 job. Eventually, I was in SF, and I ran into a colleague that was into it, and naturally, I was fascinated again. Tell me more. What do you mean, this blockchain? What is a blockchain? How does it work? Can you spend some time with me, and after work, maybe we can go grab some tea and discuss, about this thing. I was just, my ears were perked. It's like someone just showed me something that is brand new and never heard of, and it's so fascinating, right? You're talking about blockchain, irreversible interoperability, all these new terms that I'm already interested in the monetary systems, and how slow that can be, right? How expensive it is, and you have to wire in such paperwork and to move things around. And you have this thing where you're telling me I just put RL and in 2 seconds he gets it and it's irreversible. Okay, I'm listening. Tell me more. And that's how I started learning in 2016, and it's been very fun for sure.
Yeah, another great explanation there. It is like the I think it's the most revolutionary thing that we'll see in our lifetime. Probably, I don't think that there can be anything that matches it quite as much. We'll see. I could be wrong, but I think it's going to change. You can already see it changing the world. And it's only 12 years old, so I think it's just one big snowball. It's just going to keep the entire space is just going to keep growing. So it's fun to watch. So how long there after you found Bitcoin did you discover Flash?
I believe it was late 2017 or mid 2017. I can't recall exactly, but that was when I started to really get into other, they call it alt coins, right? Alternative coins. And of course, naturally, I was like, okay, what's Ethereum? And so it's going down the list because that time Coin Market Cap has the entire list, and eventually just learn into more projects. What are the other projects they're trying to achieve? Because obviously Bitcoin is trying to solve the inflation, and so now Ethereum comes along and they're trying to solve the smart contract, and then I'm trying to learn about Monero, and they're all about privacy, and it's like, wow, okay, what else is out there? So I bumped into the founders and the group that started Flash were in SF and a few others in other countries, and I bumped into them. It's like, okay, learn I'm just like any project, like, okay, I want to learn more. And they're trying to solve the remittance issue. At that time, of course, Bitcoin, it was still not ideal, right? Everybody has a different opinion, but for me, I agree with a lot of other projects where Bitcoin is awesome for reserve and I would say store of value is more of my belief. I don't believe that Bitcoin should be used transaction remittances and small micro transaction. It doesn't make any sense for me to go to get a cup of coffee with you and pay $10 and the transaction fee is $50.
Right.
So for me, I love Bitcoin, but I'm not a maximist. I enjoy Bitcoin and all about it just as much as anybody, but I do see the value of other projects trying to solve other issues that Bitcoin is not looking to solve, right? Bitcoin is amazing for what it is, and which is store of value for me. We need other utilities and other space to be solved, and blockchain is so young, like you said earlier, and we're looking for more projects out there to solve, such as remittances and microtransactions. And that's when Flash was introduced in 2017, and that's when I found them, and I was very interested. Like, there is a need. It's one of the biggest business or one of the biggest I guess space out there, or the what do you call that? I'm losing words here,
No, you're
but
fine.
the market for it, right? It's such a big market for remittances and
Mhm.
cross-border payments. And when they were looking to solve that, I was like, wow, that's $1 trillion right there, what we're looking to achieve. And so that's when I found Flash.
Yeah, the remittance thing was a big deal to me. Remittance was a big deal to me when I first found crypto too, and I think it's just going to keep that market. It's definitely going to keep growing, or crypto will take more and more of that market cap or that market share, whatever you want to call it, in the coming years for certain. It's just going to happen. It's inevitable. It just makes sense. So yeah, you have to obviously do it in a currency that you can move cheaply, because people that are moving money, typically we're talking about people, maybe not millionaires and stuff that don't have to worry about, maybe they do want to send Bitcoin because of the security of how much they're sending and everything else, and they can pay the high fees. But the average person working abroad, or wanting to send money to their family, they're just getting by, they have a little extra money and they want to send it back to their home country or something like that, that's not optimal. Bitcoin's not optimal for that. So I definitely understand what you're saying there.
Yeah, for us, especially I'm from Asia, $50 it could be weeks of someone's payments for their work, and so you're talking about somebody that's gonna spend $50 to send. It will not make sense for those type of countries, especially in the third world. They need something that more efficient and more cheap and much quicker. Of course, we're talking about within a matter of seconds versus right now I've seen hours on sending Bitcoin and upwards of hundreds of dollars of transaction fees.
100% agree with you. That was a decision that Bitcoin made, whether, you know, the head developers basically, or whatever you want to say, basically, I guess, made the decision to not raise the block size. And I mean, it's worked out, you know, from a store of value perspective, but it definitely killed the everyday cup of coffee narrative for good, basically, or at least unless, you know, there's some sort of decision down the road to make it scale. But Lightning Network is way too cumbersome, and it's just not an option, in my opinion, they thought it was going to be. So I'm definitely not a maximalist. I think Flash is awesome. I've used it many times. It's fast. It's super fast. And I want to talk a little bit about what they're doing right now. So can you get like my audience up to speed on like some of the innovations that they've been doing, you know, over the last few years?
Yeah, so right now the core team is working on the decentralized Flash. And as far as on the community side, we're constantly looking for additional businesses to onboard to accept Flash, and especially in Nigeria and in some of the other countries over in South Africa, their adopting rate is amazing. We have meetups such as from universities, and we have students like similarly to Facebook early days, right? Hey, to make this account, let's become friends so we can chat and social network together. So over there right now, there are meetups to talk about Flash and how to use Flash in their local communities. There's tons of businesses that accept Flash, mobile cell phone payments, restaurants, and that makes sense, right? Because for them, their fiat is it's inflation as well, just many other countries out there, Venezuela, for example, where it's just losing by the day. So it makes sense to have an alternative payments, and it's efficient. So it makes sense for those e-commerce or even the local merchants to accept Flash and use Flash. I know that when you download the Flash wallet, you can search businesses on there that accept Flash. Right now, the most recent news is that there's a big automotive website and merchant that accepts Flash, so you can buy your oil and gear and brakes and other automotive parts using Flash, and many other things such as hats and construction windows. There's many businesses that accept Flash. Many may not know that. I know in the crypto space there's lots of projects that are amazing. However, they're still in the project phase, right? Not really using it yet. Mm-hmm. Flash is being used right now, and it's being used by many people. Its utilities is what's driving its demand. It doesn't get a lot of pub because there's not a lot of marketing. The team is more just roll up the sleeves and kind of work. That's what I appreciate about the founders and the team as well, where they just continue to work and try to improve and work on the technology. And I appreciate that about the team quite a bit.
Yeah, I've been following Flash for years. I don't know what year I got into it first, probably 2018 or something like that. So it's definitely cool to watch. Can you tell people that haven't downloaded the wallet and stuff how cool the wallet is? Some of the features of the wallet, because the wallet's one of the coolest aspects of the entire the entire thing for me, because there aren't a lot of proprietary or whatever you want to call them, like wallets like that, where, a certain crypto has their own wallet. I mean, there was a lot of development that went into the wallet.
Yeah, that's one of the things. Another under the radar and not many know is Flash Wallet. It has many cryptos in there, not just Flash. Right, you can store Ethereum and many ERC20 tokens, Bitcoin, of course, naturally, and Litecoin, etc. But what's cool about the Flash Wallet is it has a peer-to-peer transaction feature in there. So if you and I want to do a transaction, we can do that with inside outside of the centralized exchange, right? Versus you have to go on Binance or US for us is Coinbase, et cetera, to buy and then transact. Here, it's peer-to-peer. It's what crypto intended to be, right? Where we take the middleman out. You have coins in your wallet. Let's say you have Litecoin and I have Flash and we want to do a trade. You go ahead and put a bid up and what price you wanted to accept that or sell at. And I agree to that. I just put in the value and I hit enter and we're done. And it's going to go into your wallet, the Flash. I get your Litecoin, and that's something that is amazing, right? You're talking about a platform that allows peer-to-peer trading.
Mm-hmm.
It's safe and it takes you out of the whole KYC. And for those who really wants to be private and wants to peer-to-peer at its core, I know there's lots of so-called peer-to-peer, but then they require the whole 9 yards. Versus here, it's just an email, password, two-factor, and off you go. And for me, I started out similarly to many early people. It's peer-to-peer. If you recall, Mycelium, and in there, you trade Bitcoin, right? You go into the market and you find the nearest trader that is willing to sell or buy, and then you just message, hey, Ariel, I'm looking to buy $200, and we meet up at Starbucks, and off we go, and that's it. We don't need to get on a platform and do the whole 9 yards just to buy and wait for weeks to verify and load the money into the bank. It takes 2 minutes for us to finish.
Yeah, it's actually that was isn't even the coolest thing to me, but it really is very cool because they were doing this before basically Uniswap got even popular. They were, this was like something that they've been doing for a long time now. I know over a year. I don't remember when they implemented that, but that's been something, the exchange inside the app is something that they've been doing for a while. I was thinking more along the lines of, I mean, that's cool enough on itself, like to have that inside the wallet, but you guys also have within the Flash mobile wallet, the peer-to-peer map where you can actually see the merchants. Can you tell them a little bit about that?
Oh yes, so that's another feature. the maps, which, so for example, when you have the app up, you can see where can you spend it, because that's the first thing people always ask to us, my friends and family. Great, I bought some Bitcoin. What am I gonna do with this? That's the first thing that people always ask me early days, right? Hey Ariel, what do we do with this thing? Hold it. This is what I say, right? But as naturally as the crypto space grow, people look into the whole point of buying it is spend it. Is what Flash has always been trying to drive and go forward with is spend it. Go spend it. Don't think of buy and then expect the price to go up. Demand and utility will drive its price by itself. And so within the app, you can see the geolocation of, RL, he's a restaurant. He's selling amazing, food. Let's go there because he accepts it. Let's go to his restaurant. And so within that wallet, just by putting your geolocation, then you can, at anywhere in the world, you can look at your nearest location that accepts Flash that you can go spend and use. And I know James does an amazing job in Canada. You can see lots of geolocations when you put up Canada where they accept Flash, and you can just go ahead and ping that merchant and go, hey, I see that you're on the map. I love to buy a hat, or I love to buy some shoes, or I know
coffee. I think there's coffee on there.
There's coffee on there. There's also a jeweler on there. So if you like to get something nice for your significant others, go for it. They accept Flash. So that's, people don't realize some of these, right? They're like, okay, well, I know Bitcoin is there, but if you buy something small, it won't make sense. But Flash, you can buy something that is not so expensive and the fee is so tiny, you can't even feel that as if it's free, right? You're just sending in the blockchain takes such a fraction of the text, you don't really pay much, and that's the whole point of microtransaction.
Yeah, it's definitely like, the argument, you can go back and forth. I love Bitcoin, but there are people who think that at some level it has to be more spendable to like drive the sort of, I don't know, the money has to be in circulation to sort of have the value that Bitcoin's achieved, but Bitcoin's sort of a special case. So there are going to be these currencies like Flash that take the place of Bitcoin as a medium of exchange, really. And especially for these microtransactions like the cup of coffee or, buying coffee or whatever it may be, like, bags of coffee or, stuff like that, or hats. I think that I saw they got like an Italian hat store or something like that recently. They just got them onboarded to take Flash. So it's pretty cool to watch the space evolve and actually like businesses taking crypto, they favoring crypto. And it's going to happen slower in the West because our money is a little bit more it's debased a little bit slower, but recently, with all the printing, it's going to happen faster to us too. So more people are starting to see the writing on the wall, but people like you mentioned earlier in Asia or Africa or something like that really have to worry about big time, or even Central America or South America, big time currency volatility on a day-to-day basis. Fiat currency volatility is like, they already get it, so it's obvious to them, but it's becoming more obvious to people in the West, I think, too. So it's definitely cool to see stuff like that happen. I love the innovation they have there. I mean, that's one of the coolest things I've seen in all of crypto, that ability to just get on there and see where people are at and what they're selling. And, it's just something neat to see in a wallet alone.
Yeah, and it was in such a early stage of crypto too. I believe blockchain is in a very young infant stage, even though it's been 13 or 12 years.
Right.
You see that most altcoins are still working on the project. They're not a finished product. So for me, it's like early internet days. We're talking about all these projects as if they're .coms, right? Many of them will definitely not going to be around, but
right.
Going to be big ones that's going to come out of this, that's going to have utility, that's going to change the way the world works. There's going to be Amazon come out of this. There's going to be Google, and there's going to be PayPal and eBay, such as AOL is going to die, right? So there's going to be many of those as well. So for me, if the race is on, at this time, is blockchain is the internet, and who's going to stay around? Who's going to come with the utilities, the smart contract has scalabilities, or any of those that's being solved first, that project is going to be one of the biggest out there, maybe even take over Bitcoin, because Bitcoin will just be store of value. It will be very in demand as well. But for me, is somebody going to come along and knock this thing out to a new level and take it to the mainstream, right? Because we're talking about what, 7% or so the world is into crypto. 7%. The internet is pretty much everybody,
right?
So you think about how much more leadway we have left to grow this space if it's meant to be the way it's intended to be. So we're talking about the next 10 years. We got 93% left to go just to get mass adoption. That's huge. We're so early, despite some people think, oh, am I in too late, right? and then my circle's the same. Hey, Bitcoin is so high. It's been, it's such a treasure. Well, where were you during the bear years? It's exciting with 60G. It was not so exciting when it was $4,000. They were like, okay, it's dead. And that's when we know that, cycles happens in every market. And I'm sure the bear years is not too far away again.
Yes, sir.
So for us, it's so early. I'm just excited to go along and be able to be in the space and understand it, because I was a baby when .com was going. And of course, the real estate was not of age yet either to have any financial enough to take advantage of the opportunities. So for me, this is it. This is where whatever I need to do to get into space and understand more, help people, or just understand the blockchain. I know this is what I'm going to do for the rest of my time, despite I still have a 9-to-5 job. But ideally, as I go forward, it'll be nice to do crypto full time.
Absolutely, that's a good goal. It is amazing to think about where we are, but that we still have so many more people to onboard yet is also very bullish in a lot of regards for freedom and monetary. Also, you can't deny that if you're in now, you hold a good project, you're gonna be very well off. Probably just in another 10 years, it'll be hard to even fathom where we are in 10 years, probably, because if you look back at where Bitcoin was 10 years ago, it still was like $1. So
right. Patience key, right? So for example, a coin that does, for me, it's just a funny thing, right? A Dodge is such a big headliner now, and
right.
It's just fun, and it's something cool in the space of crypto. But for those who bought really in 2018 and they thought that it was okay, it's a joke, and now it has no value, let's just dump it. And in 2019, I know some who have bought a great amount, and I can't disclose the amount, but it's a big number. And of course, they sold it in 2019 at a loss. But if, like, back to our patient, right? If you just hold it to a few weeks ago at 49 cents, this person is going to be in the hundreds of millions of dollars.
Right.
Not that much, because at that time, if you recall, the zeros are like 5 or 6. I can't even count. It was so long. It was .000 something of a penny. So it doesn't take much for you to have hundreds of millions of Dodge.
And especially with a project like Dodge with infinite inflation, it's just amazing to me that people are buying it. But people they like the dog. They like the dog a lot.
Yeah, I mean, who let the dog out? I mean, Uncle Elon. Yeah, Uncle Elon is definitely giving it some boost as well. And that's just to show you the space is so young. It doesn't take much for a project to get such a push and such recognition, right? Who would have thought in 2021, back in 2018, that Dodge is going to lead the bull? I'm sure heck is not going to bet on that.
Right. Yeah, I think Elon and Mark Cuban have probably dumped some billions with a B in there, because I don't think there's any way to move that market cap as much as it's been moving naturally. But it's interesting to think about. Where's the best place to actually buy Flash? Would you send like another crypto onto that wallet and do it like we talked about, like peer to peer? What's the best way to get a hold of it, in your opinion?
Yeah, so the best ways I always recommend for my circle is peer to peer is always because its core is the best way to transact peer to peer. Then the second option is exchange, right? So then depends on the exchange. Right now we have crex24.com. It does require KYC for that exchange. We're working on in the back with a few exchanges as well, and one very close to get on. So there will be another platform for us to utilize, and eventually more and more for those traditional ones that prefer that platform and getting on the account and then load up your either fiat to USD, USDT, or but have Bitcoin and load it on there and then use Bitcoin to purchase Flash. So right now, the main exchange we have is crex24.com. And of course, the wallet peer-to-peer. And you can always find very active community members that are traders as well on Telegrams or Discord. Just go on there, hey, I'm looking to acquire some Flash, and state the transaction details, such as if you want to trade via USDT or whatever other coins you want to transact with, and I'm sure somebody will gladly help with that.
That was my next question, actually. Where is the best place to get news on Flash? Like, the community the best place to really know what's going on, like on Telegram or Discord, or where would you suggest, both or what?
Correct. There's always very active members on Discord and of course Telegram as well. You can always see James on there and other prominent community members. So they're always very engaged in there. And we're in the process of also revamping the website to make it more robust and more attractive. It's been a while, so that's also on our timeline. But as far as to engage with the community, as Flash, there's any questions on purchasing or the tech or what's developments or news and releases, best bet is definitely Discord.
Okay. Do you know how many people like are developing the project? Anything like that? Like how many people work on it? Core people are in on the development.
As far as the developers, we have over 10. They're all over the world, though. It's some in Asia, some here, and some in other parts of the world. But as far as the team, there's no one centralized place. It's the way Flash was intended was actual a community, right? Where it's actual community say and coin. So developers are always welcome to, if you're interested in joining Flash and wanted to help in any way. It doesn't have to be developer like myself. Cannot code at all, even though my name is such. But for me, is just to help whatever I can. That is answering the community questions, help with the news, trying to look for businesses to join the Flash and accept Flash or share with friends and families. That's where everybody can play a part. And I think that the more we share and the more we use it, back and forth and meant to suspend it, that's what's going to help the communities and help Flash grow.
I agree with you. I just have a couple more questions for you. What would you say like the overall goal of Flash is? Would you say it is as a medium of exchange, community driven project, or what how would you kind of, like, if you had to do an elevator pitch to somebody, like say you had 60-second ride up the elevator, what would you say to them?
Yeah. Well, yeah, the core principle is Flash is to spend it, right? It's a fast, quick, and efficient coin, and it's allow us to use borderless payments, remittances, and the core solution for us is to solve that, right? For Flash to allow users around the world to send money back home to friends and family, spend in businesses, and use it efficiently and cheaply. Right now, we do not have that platform, even though there's many other cryptos out there looking to solve that as well. There is no businesses out there or projects out there that allow us to use cryptos and spend it around the world and send it and quickly. So cross-border payments is one of those things where there's a need, and there's of course there's many other needs out there as far as solutions wise, but for me that's one of the core thing that Flash is trying to achieve. And the more people spend it and use it, then that's where Flash is going to really take it to the next level and show that what is meant to be.
Yeah, I agree with you on that too. Really appreciate your time today. I just have one last question for you. I'd definitely like to talk to you again in the future if you're interested.
Yeah, for sure. Let me know and we'll sync up again.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming on today. I always wrap up the podcast with this, especially, when it's the first time somebody comes on. So this is a 2-part question. I always ask what Bitcoin means to my guest. And then in this scenario, it's also what Flash coin means to you. So if you could answer both of those, that'd be great.
Well, Bitcoin is for sure is the goal, or you call it the digital gold. What's the early phrase people love to use? And I truly believe that in as well. It's definitely a store of value, and I love Bitcoin just as much as when I first started. but I do have an open minded about other projects, and such as privacies and scalabilities, and all those are very important to me as well. Hence the remittances. And to segue to Flash meant to me is for that, to spend and use daily transaction, microtransaction, cross-border payments, sending it back to my families in Asia quickly, and so they can spend it at our local shops and businesses. And that's what I envision Flash is meant to be. That we one day where we can just send to anybody in the world, and they can use it right away with their local communities, with their businesses that they, among their friends and family. And that would be the ideal scenario that I believe that we all could come together and start growing the space together and help out, and community members such as myself with others like James continue to work and stick together and see the goal. I believe that we'll get there, and that will be a wonderful feeling to be able to have something like that right now, because I don't think we are close to have any crypto out there like that, right? We're some here and there, but we're still facing a lot of regulations. We're facing a lot of other things that we can get into, but that's a rabbit hole. But for me, that's the end goal, where use it and spend it and share with friends and families, and that will take care of itself.
You're definitely a good advocate for this community. I have to say, it's enjoyable to talk to you. I think we share a lot of the same visions for crypto, and it's definitely a pleasure to get to know you, sir. So with that being said, this was some representative of the Flashcoin community member, early Flash adopter, episode 36 now in the books. I'll say a proper goodbye in 1 second, sir. Thanks again for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. Looking forward to seeing you again.
Thank you.